Have you ever dreamed of sitting on soft sand and watching huge waves come closer and closer until your whole body is soaked? Of course, beach fascinates everyone. Good evening, teachers and students. This is Carine from grade 11. First, before I step into today's theme, I'd like to ask you guys a question. What do you come up with when you see waves? A long body of water, a disturbance that can transfer energy, a sudden occurrence, or a scene that all the young students sit inside the classroom with their head down and doing their homework. Today, I'd like to discuss a particular waves which are vastly popular among parents and juveniles. I still believe that you remember the days you study until very late night, just like me. This is not a single case, but popular among all Chinese students in this era. The reason behind it is that your parent may always encourage you to do better and better in academic field, right? Let us see a research paper on Baidu database. It stated that as of 2021, about 71% of parents only focus on the intellectual education. Only 7.5% of parents believed education should follow relevant policies. Only 6.6% of parents prefer developing their children's own characters. Comparing with the data 3 years ago, the parent only focus on the intellectual education increased totally 10%. There's no doubt that the competition among students in China is becoming much fiercer. Anxious parents now force their children to study day and night at a very early age. Some even start teaching their children while the babies are still unborn. I think the most precious and free time of our generation is in primary school. However, nowadays, over 85% of students in primary school had extra homework from their parents after school, which means no freedom and no joy. Also, to let children achieve progress, parents not only made them study day and night, but also use comparison between their children and others in order to pressure their own children. Look at your deskmate. She can do well. She got full marks. Why can't you do that? Isn't that familiar sound to you? Actually, all the method to stimulate children's learning ability I mentioned above is unwise. To plant out the seeds to help saplings grow is not always useful. After my research and reflection, I listed 4 negative consequences below. First of all, the kind of education of comparing with others and studying unreasonably early can substantially destroy children's mental health. Just imagine you got 99 in an exam, an important exam, and you go back home to tell your parents, the people you love most, the exciting message. However, they don't say congratulations. Instead, they act like unsatisfied, compare you with one who got 100 full mark, and order you to do better. How suffocating and infuriating. Mr. Kant, who is the journalist of China Youth Daily, reported that as of 2021, still have 57% of parents compare their children to others. WHO also claimed that the rate of China's mental problem incidence is 4%, which is the second country having the most mental problem patients. Among these patients, about 60% are juveniles and children. The behaviors of parents need to be changed. Another finding is that the education method of comparing with others and studying reasonably early can result in a bad relationship between children and parents. Since children are taught early, they don't have enough time to feel the beauty and the harmonious atmosphere of a family. They're like animals locked in a cage, and parents are their tamer. The only thing they receive is just studying, not care. The link between parents and children is just great. This situation will affect children's thought that parents are cruel. My mom does not love me. She only loves the one who are obedient and well studied. Why I'm weaker than my classmates? These are the famous dialogue in the TV show of A Little Dilemma, the episodes that reveal the current education situation in China, which initiated millions of discussions and empathy. According to 2020 education report written by China Soul, the conflicts happen between Chinese parents and children are 82%, which is 10% higher than Japanese and 6% higher than American. Bad education method can make children doubt their relationship with parents. Message 3. The education method of comparing with others and studying unreasonably early can provoke conflicts between children and children. About 52% of students don't feel happy when they're compared with other people by their parents. About 48% of students' personal injury was caused by the conflict between students and students. Since conflicts happened in primary school increased, the children will no longer feel the warmth of the world, but the cruelty and empathy. Last but not least, the method of comparing with others and studying unreasonably early can make the irrational forward learning trend become more excessive. The trend will drive people mad and ill. Once, Tencent News reported that a parent was sent to the emergency room because he suffered a considerable amount of pressure from his child. He forced the child to learn things that were too difficult for him, and the child could understand. The anxious parent finally collapsed. Therefore, unwise teaching method is not only do harm to children, but also do harm to adults. Perhaps you're also experiencing such pain. And the outcomes I mentioned above have already appeared in your life. I understand your mood and state very, very well. Perhaps you're also distressed and don't know how to make a change. What I say next may give you some insights. Since everyone has a familiar sense on physics, and I'm also a student who's studying physics, I like to apply the nature of light waves to the educational problem solution. As we all know, light waves have mainly four properties. They are reflection, diffraction, scattering, and refraction. According to the definition of reflection, which is the bending waves bounces back when it encounters a surface that does not absorb the energy of the radiation. In here, the light refers to your parents' thoughts. When your parents first come to consider about the trend, the method, let them reflect about the method. Ask them whether this method can work effectively. What is the consequence of learning too early? How many of the children achieve progress through this method, and how many of them have mental problem incidents? Secondly, use scattering and diffraction, which is defined as the bending waves around the corners of an obstacle. Since your parents have noticed the improper teaching method, you can remind them of improving the method to make it more suitable to children. Remind your parents to share the method to the people around them. Then, scattering and refracting. Scattering is a process when incident light of energy is absorbed by a system. And finally, the light is emitted. And scattering and refraction is the bending of a wave when it enters a medium where speed is different. After your parents shared your teaching method, more people will join the group. And finally, the trend may be reversed. Just like the light enters a medium with a different speed and finally fulfill it. It's interesting that when waves come, you can hardly escape from them, since everyone will be affected by the popular trends. The irrational forward learning trends will finally be changed. We cannot stop the waves unless we are the sea. Waves come from farthest ocean and vanish on somewhere else beach. The particular place is where we can decide. Let us find the most beautiful shore and let the wave wash it thoroughly. This is all I want to share you guys today. Thank you very much.